Hello and welcome to our weekly Bible study. I stopped saying Monday night because sometimes I'm not good at getting these out when they should be. We are continuing our walk through the book of Ecclesiastes. We are going to get all the way through chapter 5 today. I think this is going to be the largest section that we've taken. Hopefully it will, let me turn my timer on. Hopefully it'll all be coherent and make sense and all that, and I won't have to rush through. I don't want to divide it up too much, but I also don't want to get to the point where I'm rushing through a bunch of stuff. So we've been talking about some pretty uncomfortable things in the last few weeks. Last week we got to do more on other people, go into the house of the Lord and all that stuff. And we got to be pretty critical of the way other people dealt with things. This week, we're going to be back to us. And so I hope you enjoyed last week's little respite. This week, Solomon's going to be thumping people in the forehead pretty hard. All of us. He is taking aim at one of our great sacred cows, and that is money. Not just money, not just having money. And I know that we think that if we don't have money, if we're not rich, then we're not, all of this wouldn't apply to us. But that's not really true. This stuff's going to apply to us whether or not we think that we have enough money or not. And in fact, it'll apply to us more when we think that we don't have enough money. Solomon's gonna pretty much butcher the whole blessing thing, and then I can just accumulate, and if I can have, then everything's going to be okay. Because as it turns out, everything's not going to be okay, and he's gonna bring this into a pretty sharp point, and it's going to be something that's going to be used by thinkers for the next 1,200 years, actually the next 3,000 years. From Boethius to Aquinas, they're going to use the same argumentation that Solomon uses, and turns out Solomon was right. Money's not bad, but boy, if you love it, it can be. I'm going to go with the New Living Translation this time because it's pretty strongly worded, and I like that. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried through the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. Even the king milks the land for his own profit. Those who love money will never have enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness. The more you have, the more people come to help you spend it. So what good is wealth except perhaps to watch it slip through your fingers? People who work hard sleep well, whether they eat little or much, but the rich seldom get a good night's sleep. This is another serious problem I've seen under the sun. Hoarding riches harms the saver. Money is put into risky investments that turn sour. Everything is lost. In the end, there's nothing left to pass on to one's children. We all come to the end of our lives as naked and as empty-handed as on the day we were born. We can't take our riches with us. And this too is a very serious problem. People leave this world no better off than when they came. All their hard work is for nothing, like working for the wind. Throughout their lives, they live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry. Even so, I've noticed one thing, at least, that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. And it's a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it, to enjoy your work, to accept your lot in life. This is indeed a gift from God. God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. Even the king milks the land for his own profit. And so Solomon opens here with a timeless truth. The system works best for the people that design the system. This is not because the people that design the system are bad. This is not necessarily because the people that design the system are evil. This is because this is the way life works. If you're going to design a game, you're going to design a game that you're going to be good at. If you're going to design a workout plan, you're going to design a workout plan that you're going to be good at. If you're going to develop Monopoly, you're going to develop Monopoly in such a way that you can win, that it's going to cater to your strengths. And so the people that set up the system have a tendency to think that everybody's like them. And this is obviously, we'll get into it, but obviously there are bad people. There are bad actors, right? There are people that are going to do bad things. But you don't have to blame everything on the intentions of the people. You can set up a system that is going to be as fair as you think it can be, but it's going to benefit you and people like you. It's not malicious, it's human nature. It's what we do. We think everybody is a little bit like us. Now there are some malicious people. I understand that. But we have a tendency as people to immediately jump to the reason that I'm not successful, the reason I'm not succeeding, the reason I don't get the promotion, the reason that I don't get what I want is because this system is somehow set up to work against me, and it's because the people are bad. It's not always that the people are bad. Also, you're probably seeking the wrong thing. Your goal is probably in the wrong place, and that leads to, as we're going to get into, leads to you not being content where you have. The reality is that anytime a system is set up by people who love money, who are pointed at the wrong thing, it is going to lead to injustice and corruption. 100 times out of 100, it is going to lead to injustice and corruption because that's who we are. That's as people who we are. And it's not, again, I don't have to try to be malicious to make it unfair. All I have to be is me. All I have to do is have the power to set the thing up. Everybody, all the people, everybody's got a boss, right? And so even at 980 BC, Solomon is looking at this and saying, there's all these middlemen, there's all this red tape, there's all this stuff. Everybody's got to take their little piece of the pie. And when you read the book of Chronicles and the book of Kings, Solomon set the system up, right? When Solomon dies and Rehoboam or Jeroboam, I can never remember which one, takes over the kingdom. I think it's Rehoboam, his son, takes over the kingdom. The people come to him and say, hey man, we would really like it if you would lower some taxes because your dad, Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, is killing us trying to support this massive infrastructure that he set up. And Rehoboam says, I'm not going to do it. And it leads to the kingdom being divided in a short civil war. Now, so Solomon sees it, and Solomon knows, and it's the wisest man in the world. And he says, all of this is happening, and I'm watching it do it. And this is the struggle. From the lowest person to the greatest person, from the king says, if I can just get a little more profit out of the land, if I can just figure out a way to make the land yield a little bit more, to make the crops yield a little bit more, to make the animals a little bit bigger, if I can just milk a little bit more out of the land, I can be wealthy. And then the guy under him says, if I can just get a little bit more, I can be richer. And the guy under him says, if I can just get a little bit more, I can be richer. If I can just get a little more, I'll be satisfied. If I can just make it stretch a little more, everything's going to be okay. If I can just really just push it over the edge just a little bit, everything is going to be all right. And they're wrong. There's wrong, because those who love money will never have enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness. The more you have, the more people come to help you spend it. So what good is wealth except perhaps to watch it slip through your fingers? People who work hard sleep well, whether they eat a little or much, but the rich seldom get a good night's sleep. The New King James Version translates this, the chapter or verse 10 this way: he who loves silver will never be satisfied with silver. That's the nature of desire. When we love something other than God, when we aim our focus on something other than God, when we attempt to grasp at or hold something that is other than God, when my desire is misdirected, my desire will never be satisfied, because things are not meant to satisfy. It's not the one that has money. Understand this. It's not the one that has money that is going to be discontented. It's the one that loves money. It doesn't matter if you have it or not. Having it is irrelevant to this entire section. Lay aside the idea that Solomon here is speaking against rich people. He is not just speaking against rich people, although, there is some element of truth to that. He's not speaking specifically against rich people. He's speaking to all of us that have this attitude that if we can just get a little more, that if we can just accumulate a little more, that we can just hoard a little bit more to ourselves, that somehow our lives will be better. It is not wealth that we were created for. We weren't created to accumulate. We weren't created to have stuff here. I wasn't created to rely on myself. I wasn't created to rely on anything other than God. God places Adam in the garden and says, you're going to work, you're going to labor, you're going to work the land, you're going to expand the garden, you're going to do all of this stuff. But ultimately, you need to understand that it is me that gives you the fruit. It's the fruit is going to come from me. The land is not going to be cursed. The land is going to be good. It's going to be good land. It's going to be fruitful land. You're going to work it, but the blessing is going to come from me, and the thing that you're going to seek after is me. And when man falls, when man grasps at something that he was not intended to have, when man wants to make decisions for himself, God curses the land. And so now man feels like and has this idea that if I can just get back to the point of satisfaction from the land, from the things, from the wealth, from the silver, from the gold, whatever, then that is going to be the thing that makes me satisfied and makes me happy. And it is not, because we were not created for stuff. We were created for communion with God, and every addiction and every evil in the world can be traced to a man or a woman trying to satisfy an infinite hunger with a finite thing. That's why the Bible says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It's why Jesus says, if you drink of the water that I give you, you'll never thirst again. Because if you ever get a taste of the infinite, if you ever get a taste of what God has, if you ever get a taste of the contentment that he offers, all of this other stuff, just, you can have it or you can not have it, and it doesn't matter, because you have contentment in your heart. And so Solomon says, as your stuff increases, as you get more money, as you get more land, as you get more holdings, as you accumulate more wealth, you just get more people that are going to help you spend it. You get hangers on, you get you get lots of friends, and you get lots of neighbors, and you get lots of buddies, and then you have to hire people to manage it. And you got to have managers, and you got to have tenant farmers, and you have to have all of this infrastructure around you to help manage the thing that you've built. And so you don't just have more, you also spend more. You're responsible for more. And so he says, what good is it that this guy does it? This guy accumulates all this stuff. Then he can look at it like it's really, boy, look at all this land I've got. It's beautiful. And the person that owns it is really no better off than the person that just walks by. The person that owns the beautiful gardens, that spends his fortune trying to maintain and make sure all the flowers are right and all of it's mowed correctly and everything. Oh, so he can look out of his window at it and see that it's beauty. He's not getting any more out of it than the person that just drives by on the street. But it's costing him something. It's costing him effort. It's costing him time. It's costing him energy. It's keeping him up at night. He's constantly worried. He's constantly trying to hold on to the things that he's got and hold on to this feeling that somehow they've attained something and somehow they have accumulated and they're somebody now and they're special now. And what haunts them is, what happens to me if I lose it? Then who am I? I've put all of my self-worth and all of my value into this stuff, but what happens if it goes away? And he says this is another serious problem I've seen under the sun. Hoarding riches harms the saver. Money is put into risky investments that turn sour, and everything is lost. In the end, there's nothing left to pass on to one's children. We all come to the end of our lives as naked and empty handed as on the day we were born. We can't take our riches with us. And this, too, is a very serious problem. People leave this world no better off than when they came. All their hard work is for nothing, like working for the wind. Throughout their lives, they live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry. Solomon is talking about, again, he talks about this serious problem. This is not just a complication, it's not just a circumstance, but this is a tragedy when a man hoards his wealth, the wealth eats at him and destroys him, and then it can be gone in an instant, and there's nothing left. There's nothing left to leave. You try to invest, you try to do right, you try to do things that you're supposed to do, and something happens. Wealth can be a precarious situation. In the New King James, it says the riches perish through misfortune. There's always going to be an element of whatever you want to call it, luck, providence, the will of the Lord, circumstance that no amount of financial planning can overcome. The market's going to collapse, right? You're going to invest in what you think is a fantastic opportunity, and it's just going to fall apart, and it's not going to work out. Real estate's gonna go downhill. You buy that. We saw that a few years ago. Real estate, the bottom will drop out, and then all those solid investment opportunities go away. You think you're going to flip houses, and all of a sudden the houses flip you. Your health is going to fail. You accumulate all this money, and then you go to the hospital for a month, and you're in the ICU for a month, and you get a hospital bill that wipes everything out. Wars are going to come. People are going to bomb countries. Gas prices are going to go up. Milk prices are going to go up. Inflation's going to happen. And when you've built all of your sense of self and worth on the security of this facade of what you have and the possessions that you have, and that you're doing the right thing, and that you're being wise, and you're making good investments and all this stuff, and then catastrophe happens, then where are you? Because you think you've done it right, but you put your hope, and you put your dreams, and you put your focus on something that was never intended to last. He says we come to the end of our lives, and you're going to leave this life the way that you entered this life, naked and broke. Job says in Job chapter 1, naked came I into the world, naked I'm going to return to the grave. But he says, God giveth, God the Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Job follows his lament with praise. Because everything that you have, you will one day leave behind. All of your money, your whole house, your cars, the stocks, the bonds, the retirement accounts, everything that you've accumulated, you will leave behind. And then what? And this is not a morbid thought, right? This is not, I know we have an interesting relationship with death now because we're so removed from it in a lot of ways, but this is not a morbid thing. This is a clarifying thing. You need to think about the fact. You need to think about where your priorities are. You need to think about where you are putting your hope. You need to think about where you are putting your focus. What are you going to carry beyond this life? You're going to carry a relationship with God. You're going to carry an eternal soul. You're going to carry a character that you allowed God to form in you. In some ways, you're going to carry relationships with people that you have loved and people that you have helped, because that has formed and changed something in you. And Solomon is doing everything he can to get us to see the value of things that actually are going to endure. And so he he says, what's the point of the work? All of this work, all of this accumulation, all of this grasping is just like working for the wind, where it's vapor. You're trying to grab a hold of something that you can't hold on to. You're trying to grab something solid that can't be held. He talks about a man that's devoted himself to wealth, and so he eats in darkness, and he's frustrated, and he's alone, and he's angry, and he's sorrowful, and he's desolate, and he's miserable. Not because wealth is bad, not because money is evil, but because worshiping it failed him. Ultimately, at the end of his life, when he came face to face with his God, it collapsed like all other idols do. Because that's what idols do. They fall in the face of God. Even so, we're going to get some hope at the end of this one. So here we go. I've noticed one thing at least that's good. It's good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. It is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it, to enjoy your work and accept your lot in life. This is indeed a gift from God. God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past. After all of this, Solomon comes to a place that's not cynical. It's not nihilistic. It's not hopeless. It's hopeful. Solomon says there's an answer to this. There's hope at the end of this road. We don't come down to the end of this and just find ourselves in desolation. He says there's a place of gratitude where it's good and it's fitting to enjoy, eat and drink the fruit of your labor. Find enjoyment in the work that you do. Find enjoyment in the labor that you do. It's a good thing. You can sit down at the end of the day and you could enjoy a meal with your family and with your friends and with your neighbors. And you can be in the present moment, in the simplicity of what God has blessed you with. Whether you're surrounded by golden candlesticks and fine china, or if you're eating off a paper plate on a floor, you can be content with what God has given you. Just enjoy what God has given you now. He says to everyone that God has blessed with wealth and possessions, and believe me, look, this is going to come as a very pointed thing for people that are watching this on your fancy phone or on your fancy laptop. We can complain about not having enough, but we are unimaginably wealthy compared to most of the world and compared to all of human history. Like, understand, nobody had a hot shower 100 years ago. The richest Solomon didn't get to stand in a hot shower. We have wealth. We have accumulated it. God has blessed us. And it is up to us to learn to be content with the thing that God has given us. He says he will give you he will bless you, but you also have to learn to be content in it. If you have the wealth without the contentment, you're going to be miserable. You're always going to need more. You're always going to have to reach for more. You can be poor, you can be rich in possessions and poor in contentment and be miserable. And you can be poor in possessions and poor in contentment and be miserable. This is what Paul's talking about in Philippians when he says, I've learned in whatsoever state I'm in, therewith to be content. I'm going to be content where I am because this is what God has blessed me with. This is the grace that God has given me. This is the thing that I'm going to cultivate an attitude and a spirit of contentment because I trust that God is going to do the thing that is good for me. And then he says, those people don't spend a lot of time brooding over the past or worried about the future. I'm content with today. I worked hard today. I did what I was supposed to do today. God blessed me with daily bread today. And so I'm not going to worry about missed opportunities and things that I should have done differently yesterday. I'm not going to worry about wrong investments and fields I should have planted and relationships I should have cultivated, all that stuff. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to fix it, right? Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand. If you've done something wrong to somebody, go apologize. You bring your gift to the altar, all that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that are constantly worried about what they should have invested in 25 years ago, a stock that they should have held on to, a stock that they should have sold, or people that are constantly worried about what's going to happen to tomorrow. What's going to happen tomorrow? They can never enjoy today. They fail to live in the blessing and the richness that God has given them today. So, how do we wrap it up? Solomon starts by describing a bleak world where the rich take advantage of the poor and money governs the people who have the power. And then he talks about the life of the person that is enslaved to this world where I can just try to get more and I can reach and I can go and if I can just have a little bit extra, then I'll be okay. And then he shows us the way out. It's not poverty. It's not selling everything. It's not, if God tells you to do it by all means. But it's contentment. It's learning that gratitude matters so much more than accumulation. The man who fears God looks at his meal and sees what God has provided. He looks at his work and sees what God has entrusted him with. He looks at his paycheck and he sees resources that can be used for him, but also can be used for others, can be held with an open hand. He's not enslaved by what he has. He's not desperate to grasp and hold on to what he has. He's defined by the fact that all he has belongs to God. Jesus says you can't serve God and money. You can't. You're going to serve one or the other. You can try. You're going to fail. God's not going to take second place. You only get one God in your life. And Solomon's telling us the same thing from the perspective of somebody that has tried it, somebody that has lived it and found it impossible. This passage is not about poverty. This is about freedom. This is about contentment. This is about having your life so fully occupied by God that money can assume its proper place. As C.S. Lewis said, when love ceases to be a God, it ceases to be a devil. When money ceases to be a God, it ceases to be a devil. When our desire is properly oriented toward God, all the other stuff falls into place. Thank you so much. We'll move on to chapter 6 next week. And we're approaching halfway through. I keep saying I didn't think it'd be this long, but it's been long. Lord bless you. I love you. God loves you. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you.